Okay, this is going to be part 2. I was talking earlier about our journey to foster care adoption. We went through a particular agency, and I really want to say names badly, but I also don't want to I don't know if there are repercussions for saying particular names that we're working with right now. I don't know that I'm allowed to disclose that. I mean, I'll talk about Adopt Us Kids. I don't have a contract with them. And I like Adopt Us Kids, and that's actually kind of where we're at with it. Is there are children on Adopt Us Kids that we're very interested in, but I'll go into that in a minute. So we went through the training and had our home study done, and we're going to talk a little bit about home studies here in just a few minutes, but to adopt through the foster care system, waiting children. In our state of North Carolina, you have to foster for 6 months before you can adopt. And the goal, or at least what we have read and our perception has been, foster to adopt is, you find the child that you want to adopt, or your social worker matches you with a child. And then while you're waiting on the adoption to take place, you have to foster them. And it gives you a chance to see if it's going to work for you, work for the kids. Kind of sucks in a way because it gives that what if. Well, if we don't like them in 6 months, we'll give them the heave-ho. It's kind of like saying, well, I'm going to marry this guy, but I may separate from him in 6 months. But only worse, you're dealing with children. We're going to talk about it. I don't know. But in a way, it's good because then you really get to see if you're a good parent for that child's needs. Sorry, my nose is really bothering me. It's itching. Allergies, because I have 3 cats. But we got certified to adopt, or not to adopt. We got certified for level 1 and 2 therapeutic foster care. And we thought that would lead to adoption through the foster care system. And I don't even know where to go with this because it's so convoluted at this point. The workers are not bad people. They're doing a great job for the most part. But I think they are understaffed and overwhelmed. And I think they tell you what you want to hear sometimes, or they don't know. And so they are just going to... We've been told so many different things by so many different workers. And each one is different, and it's like they don't know what each other's doing. And it's not that they're intentionally trying to delay things. Delay is not the right word, even. It's that they're just overwhelmed, I think. But we're in a situation now where, while we were trying to get certified, they're like, oh, yes. And I was very firm and thorough. But at this point, this has been going on 16 years right at for my husband and I. So I was done with this pretty little dance of, oh, let's make you a happy family. No. When I was interviewing these agencies and when I was telling them, I said, look, I'm very tired of helping other people be parents. We want to be parents. I want to be a mother. I'm tired of raising these kids until the parents grow up, figure it out themselves. In the meantime, these kids suffer, and then having to give them back. Now, in the context of foster care, I understand that it has its place, and I am pro reunification. And any of you who know about adoption, know about foster care, you know what I'm talking about, reunification. It's where they try their best, for as long as possible, to reunify the children with their biological families. In most cases, this is a great idea, but not in every case. Foster to adopt is a little different as far as I'm concerned, as in you are going to foster these children who are free or almost free for adoption, and then pursue adoption as they become free, or you're going to foster them while the process of adoption is going on. I have since learned today that is not how the social services view foster to adopt. What it is they want you to foster, and if a child happens to be in your home, and if they happen to become free, then you get the option to adopt them. Yay! That almost never happens. Okay? What about all these kids on Adopt Us Kids waiting? Really? How do you apply for them? Okay, so we get licensed. I'm going off topic just yet. They send an intake worker up who is adorable, and I love her. Now, first visit she came up, and she was young, and she hadn't even read our file to know that we wanted to adopt, to know that we wanted physical special needs, and to know that we were interested in younger kids. When she came up, she wanted to place, you know, older, like as in almost grown kids, young adults, and didn't know a thing about us or history or our file, and said that they almost never, ever get little kids. And I was really upset because our other worker who did all our training and home study, and the worker before that had said, oh yeah, we place interstate, we work with Adopt Us Kids, we have little kids all the time, and she kept telling me about, you know, 2-week-old and this and that and blah, 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 blah. And yeah, we'll have you a kid by Christmas time. So January rolls around, and they're like, well, the state, you know, everything's been delayed, and, you know, and then in January we finally get your license. And I'm like, but what was confusing to me is when the intake worker had come up and said, well, the one who didn't read our file, she was new to the job too, by the way. I mean, she's been a social worker for a while in other capacities. This particular agency really seems to have a high turnover rate. You know, each time you go in, if somebody's in a new position or leaving their old position or going to a new position or filling in a new position or whatever. Which right there to me should have been a red flag, but whatever. They're not a bad agency. I just think they need to get it together. So anyway, so when I said to our licensing worker, well, the young girl, the intake lady, she's not a girl, she's a woman, but she's young, came up and said, no, we don't place younger children, and blah, 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 and whatever. I'll go into detail more later, but I'm just too tired and a little bit upset to go into it all now. Our other worker said, well, where did you get that idea? You know, that there was younger children, and kind of like that. And, you know, and I'm like, well, you told us that. And first of all, before you told us that, the other initial worker told us that. Well, she didn't remember telling us that. Yeah, okay. And then she was like, well, I'm sorry, you misunderstood the first worker. No, I said specifically to her and to the other worker, I am tired of helping other people be parents. We want to be the parents now. So we are interested in adoption through the foster care system. At some point after we are able to adopt through the foster care system, we may be open to respite care or regular foster care as well, in addition to. How you misunderstand that? That is really plain. How much plainer can you get to say, I'm tired of helping other people be parents. I want to adopt through the foster care system. We want to be the parents. We want to adopt, adopt, adopt. 16 years, I've said it 1,000 times. How much more clear can I be? Anyway, I know what I'm talking about. So, anyway. Yeah. My husband knows what I'm talking about. He's behind the camera gesturing but anyway. So basically when I confronted them with what I call the deception of, wait a minute, you told me one thing to get me licensed, or I'm just completely insanely ignorant and not understanding the words that are coming out of their mouths. And I really feel like I'm a reasonably smart person. You know, anyway, once we got our license and they tried to place older children with us, I felt very pressured. And I was pressured, I felt pressured into taking children who I don't feel we were qualified for. When I mentioned that, she said, our licensing worker, who I felt very, 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 very much misrepresented herself, and telling us, yes, they have older children or younger children. Yes, they place older children. Yes, we can adopt through them. Yes, they work with in or adopt us kids, and they placed interstate, and it was just honey for me. It was exactly what I wanted to hear. Then you lock me in and get me in there, licensed through you guys, and think that because I'm so desperate to be a mom, I'll take the first placement you give me, even though I know that's going to fail because I'm not qualified to take this kid because they are older and they are emotionally damaged to the point where only somebody who had parented these kinds of children before would be a good parent for them. I would not be a good parent for a child with those kinds of issues. You know, I could I could deal with a G-tube or a trach all day long, or seizures, or missing limbs, and prosthetics all day long, because that's where my experience is. I can deal with a deaf child all day long. That's where my experience lies. Not where a child is going to burn my house down or beat himself or me to death, because I don't know how to help him get over the trauma or her that they've experienced. So why would you forcibly try to place a child in my home that has those issues, knowing I could not help them? So I'm a little bit angry at this point, because now I am being told that, oh, by the way, we did have an emergency placement where the Department of Children's Services called us, the local one, not the agency we're working with. And we had him for a week. He was adorable. He was newborn. And then he went to a kinship placement with a family member. So that was nice. There is a little ray of hope there, a little good thing there. And I didn't mind that. That was a foster care emergency situation, and we're open to that. But they were saying they wouldn't have any children for us. They couldn't find a match for us. And I was like, well, look, I know there's a lot of children on Adopt Us Kids, and we're interested. And I see that I'm running over, so I believe this is going to be a part 3 in a minute, because I'm in the middle of part 2. And I know this gets long-winded, and if anybody is not interested in hearing this, I'm so sorry. You don't have to watch it. But for those who are, I really do. I'm going to have a point at the end of these videos. There's going to be a point, and I want some input. And maybe if someone goes through with watching all of what we're going through, they will do it differently and know how to prevent the issues that we're having. Or maybe could advise us on what we can do differently. So I see that I'm running into 12 minutes, so I'm going to make this a part 3, and I'm going to close for now. And that's where we're at with it. Okay? Look for part 3, because it's really getting good here. Okay, thanks. Bye.